months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Charlie Kirk believed courage and conviction still matter. He wanted every Christian to stand firm in their faith, no matter the cost. That's why the Voice of the Martyrs is offering you a free copy of Extreme Devotion. Inside are true stories of Christians in places like China, Iran, and Nigeria who refused to deny Jesus Christ, even in the face of imprisonment or death. Charlie's passion was to see that kind of faith in all of us. Get your free copy today at vom.org/Charlie. That's vom.org/Charlie.
Voters in Myanmar have cast ballots in the first phase of the country's general election, taking place under military rule amid a bloody civil war.
Critics charge that the election is designed to add a facade of legitimacy to the military rule, which began after the army ousted the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi in February 2021. Her party won a landslide victory in the 2020 election, but was blocked from taking office for a second term. Critics argue that the results will lack legitimacy due to the exclusion of major parties and limits on freedom of speech and an atmosphere of repression. Bernie Bennett reporting.
There's been no word on the cause of a deadly train wreck in Mexico over the weekend. President Claudia Sheinbaum says 13 people died. Another 98 were injured when the train derailed on a line that links the Pacific Ocean to the Gulf of America. The train went off the rails yesterday. The accident halted traffic all along the line. News and analysis at townhall.com. Like happiness, the end of the year means different things to different people.
It's almost a new year, and for many people, it's that time of year to think about hopes and plans. Experts in different fields who deal with transitions and change have some advice. Plan what you can, but accept that some things will be unknown and unexpected. What works for someone else may not be best for you. Set your goals that you can achieve and then build on those. Jason Walker reporting.
The New York City subway system is retiring the Metro card after more than 30 years. The gold and blue swipeable card was introduced in 1994, replacing the subway token, which had been used for 50 years. The last sales and refills on Metro cards will be on Wednesday, though existing cards will still work for some time into the new year. More on these stories at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning, and we are back live and in person for Monday, December 29th, 2025, and not a moment too soon. As you know, our morning rundown is brought to you every day at this time by our friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com, located just a few miles from the airport, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So here we go. Here's the morning rundown for Monday, December 29th, 2025. Number one, Donald Trump called Vladimir Putin yesterday, met with Vladimir Zelensky at Mar-a-Lago yesterday. Today, he's meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. What's going on that front? Number two, Minnesota is a failed state. The government fraud story continues. Over $9 billion has been allegedly fraudulently given to by the federal government to the state of Minnesota, and they've allegedly given it to a bunch of fraudulent Somali-linked businesses. That story exploded last week. A 42-minute video by a 23-year-old kid by the name of Nick Shirley has now received over 110 million views. What did he do? He just had a list of all of the companies that received federal and state fundings for child care and meals, and they're almost all Somali run, and there were no kids there, no daycare. Sounds like it's pretty fraudulent to me. Number three, Tucker Carlson had an insane interview in which he claimed the biggest threat to the United States was not radical Islam, but instead, wait for it, OnlyFans. Tucker's getting really out there. Number 4, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, illegal alien Maryland man who has been indicted for human smuggling. He's out and free, and he's thumbed his nose at the American justice system. He released a video of himself singing in Spanish. Well, I guess he was lip syncing. But anyways, it's basically a giant blank U to the American legal system. Number 5, federal judge Waverly Crenshaw here in Middle Tennessee canceled Kilmar Abrego Garcia's trial date. He will hold a, wait for it, vindictive prosecution hearing on January 28th. There's no vindictive prosecution. I mean, we broke the story. You can see the tape. The guy was speeding, swerving, driving a vehicle owned by his boss, he says, who was basically a convicted human smuggler, and driving without a valid driver's license. He had 9 Spanish-speaking people with no luggage in the vehicle. Oh, what was he doing? Yeah, allegedly human smuggling. Number 6. So there's a whistleblower who reported that there was all sorts of improper activity going on at Metro Nashville Police Department. And so Mayor Freddie O'Connell brought in this big law firm, Butler Snow, and they released a big report over the last week, saying nothing to see here, nothing wrong. But guess what they failed to do? They neither identified nor interviewed the lead investigator on the Covenant case, Bobby Samuels, who resigned and mysteriously disappeared from public sight in early 2024. Don't you think you'd ask that guy about what went on with the Covenant case? No, didn't do it. Well, we'll try and ask Butler Snow what happened with that. Tom Pappert will talk with that with us at the bottom of the hour. Number 7, Mark Pulliam, the author of Misrule of Law, legal expert, will be with us in hour 2. Lots to talk about, some SCOTUS rulings and major personnel changes at the Heritage Foundation. The entire Edme Center has left and resigned. What does that mean? And number 8, Todd Kastner, a retired healthcare executive, will join us in our 3rd hour. He's running for mayor of Williamson County, and he's out knocking on doors. How do I know that? Well, he and his wife knocked on my door yesterday while I was watching the Titans lose. All right, so there you go. That's the morning rundown for Monday, December 29th, 2025. We're almost to January. And it's brought to you every weekday at this time by our friends at the Clock Store. Have you ever wondered what to get that special Second Amendment guy or gal in your life? Well, it's never too early to start thinking about it, and it's never too early to save, especially when you visit glockstore.com. Now, they've had this Christmas sale going on. I think it's still going on until the end of the year. They have incredible discounts on virtually everything they sell. I'm talking huge discounts on optics, barrels, compensators, magazines, extensions, extended controls, slide cuts, and so much more, including incredible deals on factory rebuilt Glocks. If you can't tell the difference, why pay the difference? And don't forget to drop in a Vortex red dot reindeer sticker or patch, or a Vortex tactical Christmas tree sticker or patch for a chance to win either a Glock 47 or Glock 45. I'm not sure if that's still going on, but go to glockstore.com and you can find out. Glockstore.com, our friends and friends of the Second Amendment. All right, let's go to the clips today, right now. And let's go to, yes, now this is in Spanish, but I'll narrate it. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a free man thanks to an Obama-appointed judge, and he still is likely to be deported, but he's out there in his backyard, apparently looking at the sky, pretending to be this guy's an egomaniac, you can tell. And he's pretending to sing a song in Spanish about, I don't know, freedom, love, something like that. Here we go. Kilmar Abrego Garcia put this out over the weekend. There he's looking at the sky. He's being a cool guy. What is he doing? Okay, that's enough of Kilmar. What is he doing there? He put that out like 60 seconds. He's mocking the U.S. judicial system. That's what he's doing. And you know who's helping him? Big law firms. Big law firms. We've calculated this. Tom Pappert has done this. We'll talk about this in the bottom of the hour. He's basically saying, you know, I entered the country illegally. I've been here since 2012. And you can't get me. You can't deport me. Oh, and by the way, all those alleged human smuggling charges, I'm going to get off on that too. He's not going to, but that's what he's saying. It is an insult to America for sure. All right, that's one thing. We'll talk more about that with Tom Pappert at the bottom of the hour. Right now, what has happened to Tucker Carlson? This is a clip that's gone out there, and at first I thought this wasn't real, but I'm pretty sure it was. Here he's talking about the threat to America. It's not radical Islam, says Tucker. It's OnlyFans. Really? Let's play this clip.
TPUSA did a poll during AmFest, or I guess it was after AmFest, and they asked the audience, what they considered to be the greatest threat to America. And they did put radical Islam at number one. I'm wondering where you think those sentiments are coming from. I mean, I've heard you say before that this is an op, and that we all know which foreign government it's actually coming from. Which government is it, and can you explain how that operation works? How is it, kind of lured into those?
From the Israeli government and its many defenders and informal employees in the United States, of course. And I guess I would just say if that was actually, I don't know how people responded to the poll. I don't know who answered it, but I believe in measuring reality a little more empirically, and I don't know anyone in the United States in the last 24 years who's been killed by radical Islam.
Whoa. What an idiotic thing to say. Counterfactual. What about the young National Guards woman who was killed by an Afghan refugee? What about the major down at Fort Hood who killed a bunch of people who was Islamist? What about that Orlando nightclub thing? Islamists killed him. Tucker, you've lost it. Hey, when we come back, we'll have more. The state of Minnesota is a failed state. Totally failed state. And I think Tim Walz may be going up the river. Back after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendment, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that they're making it through. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get the Children's Bible Story Pillow 5-pack for $29.98. My Slippers with a free bottle of leather protectant spray for $39.98. Blankets, comforters, and duvets for as low as $25. And a blowout sale on the standard MyPillows for just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-854-0504 and use promo code Godzilla to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.99, Kings only $1 more. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they are extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026.
My Patriot Supply, America's most trusted survival food company, wishes you and yours a very Merry Christmas. As our gift to you, we've got an amazing deal on survival food kits. Buy one, gift two. That's right, for a limited time, when you grab our best-selling 4-week emergency food kit, we'll include 2 one-week kits free to hand out as gifts. That's 4 weeks of emergency food for you, and 2 ready-to-give gifts for anyone on your list who's into preparedness, or anyone who needs a nudge in that direction. But they're only available for a limited time. Grab yours at mypatriotsupply.com and give the gift of food security this Christmas. With 2,000 calories per day, 16 delicious meal and snack varieties, and up to 25-year shelf life, it's no wonder our 4-week food kit is the best-selling emergency food supply of all time. But the buy one, gift two Christmas special won't last long. So claim yours now at mypatriotsupply.com. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. It is Monday, December 29th, 2025. We'll be here today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. We're taking Thursday, New Year's Day, and Friday off, and then we'll be back a week from today. So got 3 full days, so lots to catch up on. And one of the things that happened over the weekend is this 23-year-old kid, Nick Shirley, released a 42-minute video that was beyond outstanding. And what he did is he went into and visited a number of, quote, child care companies in Minneapolis, Minnesota area who had received, actually, I think he documented well over $100 million that these companies received, and none of them have any children there. They're all Somali-owned. And they've been getting a lot of federal government money for a long time, and there's been no audits of it. And look, let's be honest about what Minnesota is right now. You talk about countries being failed states. Minnesota is a failed state. It is a corrupt government that has enabled fraud upon the American people, American taxpayer, and Minnesota taxpayers, and done nothing, and is very well aware of the fraud going on. Why have they done it? Well, because all the fraud, most of the fraud is going to support about $250,000 Somali citizens who are here in our country under the Refugee Resettlement Program, and they're all voting Democrat. So it's basically to keep the Democrats in power. That's my view on it. Now, this 23-year-old kid, he's from Utah. I think was a student at BYU or University of Utah, and then went down on a mission. He's LDS. He went down for 2 years on a mission to Chile and is now back in the States. And, well, this video that he's done, it's 42 minutes. We'll just play the beginning of it. Has been seen by over 110 million people so far. 110 million. Nobody at 60 Minutes. None of the local synoptic, media-controlled news outlets in Minnesota have done anything with it. And yet this kid, 23 years old, has blown the fraud wide open. Let's just start off with this example of him going in to visit one of these purported businesses. Here we go.
Are indeed no windows. All the windows are blacked out right here. All right, let's go in. and the child care center is locked. Should we ring the doorbell? Try to get in, rang the doorbell, nobody showed up. They're open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. it says here on their sign, yet there's absolutely nobody here. And this building here, right here, has generated millions of dollars, and it seems like business isn't even open right now, and it's a weekday. And if this was a daycare center, it wouldn't just be in some industrialized building. There would be maybe like a playground or something outside, or...
There's no play area for the kids. So where are the kids? Where's anybody? How can there be nobody here? And it's like this every single day. I've never seen a single child here. In 9 years, I've never seen a single child at this building. Right there.
Oh, then now it looks like we already got the Somalis coming through.
Yeah, they're coming. The word's out.
Hello, is this your daycare?
No. Can you tell us why there are no children? Have you ever seen children at this child care center?
Doesn't know if she's ever seen a child here. All right, let's go to the next location. Now we're going to the next daycare center. How much money has this one generated?
This one, in fiscal year 2025, $1,042,059. In fiscal year 2024, $1,059,078. And in fiscal year 2023, $727,336.
This next one is literally 1 block away, and this one's also generated nearly $3 million in the past 3 years. Let's see if there's any children. Let's see if any of the buildings are open. Here we go. All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning Center. All the windows are blacked out. Let's see if anybody is here. This door is locked.
This facility is licensed for 40 children. 0 children. I've come by this place 100 times. I've never seen a child here, ever. The only thing I've ever seen is someone standing outside smoking.
What's crazy about this is that last daycare center is that green building right there. And the other daycare center right now is right here. These buildings should be operating as they're receiving literally millions of dollars.
Yeah, millions of dollars in federal funds, basically. Federal funds that are given to the state of Minnesota, which is responsible for their disbursement. And it's worse than that. I mean, he documented over $100 million in this 42-minute video for child care services paid for by you and me with no children to care for. Now, we have Jonathan Turley. It says, Tim Walsh has got to testify about this. Let's go to clip number 5.
We have to be able to hold people like Waltz to account. If you burn $1 billion through sheer negligence, just blind recklessness, then there's got to be some accounting. You've got to appear and answer for these questions.
So do you think Walz will actually have to appear before the House Oversight Committee?
I think he might. And, you know, without any question, he and his administration are going to have to answer some questions, and he's going to have to do better than he did over the weekend.
Okay, and let's see what Waltz did over the weekend and when he was asked about this. What's the real problem in Minnesota? Is it this $9 billion plus fraud, alleged fraud, that's gone through from federal taxpayers to the state of Minnesota, which he's in charge of, right? To all of these Somali-run businesses, and it looks like, plenty of evidence, it looks like this is pretty fraudulent. What's the real problem, says Tim Walsh. Let's play this clip right now, clip number 4.
So this is what happens when your own federal government wages war against you. This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy, when you hear the Vice President of the United States talk about now white people won't have to apologize for being white. That's never happened once in my whole damn life. And I think everybody in this room knows what they're doing. So we're here today to say enough of this. We're here today to stand that Minnesota will protect their neighbors.
What does that mean? Yeah, by the way, 1990, there were like 0 Somalis in Minnesota. And then they decided, look, you talk about the replacement theory. I think they decided, let's change Minnesota. I mean, it's a smaller state, right? 10 electoral college votes. And what they decided to do was and it was always kind of purpley, right? Well, they decided to flip it politically. They've brought in at least 250,000 Somalis. Now, nothing says a climate similar to Somalia like Minneapolis, Minnesota, right? Wrong. And so they brought him in under the Refugee Resettlement Act, all sorts of unvetted fraudulence there. I did a lot of reporting on this in Breitbart. And, they have huge, huge levels of latent tuberculosis and active tuberculosis, particularly in Minnesota, because they didn't vet the health of these people properly. And once they get in, they have children that they don't report. They have all sorts of cousins, sisters, etc., that they bring in, and it's just a fraud machine. Minnesota is a completely failed state, and basically what they're doing is they're taking American federal taxpayer money, and they're giving it to these fraudulent businesses run by Somalis. And where's the money going? Some of it apparently has gone back to Somalia. What is Tim Walz doing about it? He's doing nothing except claiming white supremacy. That's not going to end up being the right approach at all. And let's look at a forensic audit of all this stuff. Oh, by the way, Ilhan Omar sponsored this 2020 bill called the Meals Act, which allowed money for food to go to groups like this, federal money, without much in the way of oversight. Did you see the report about her net worth? Yeah, her net worth in 2021 was like zero. Today it's $30 million. Huh. How'd that happen? Well, she married a guy who's a consultant, and that guy's got all sorts of, revenue coming in from various different operations. Look, they need to look at her. They need to look at where all that money came from. And they need to look at apparently a lot of this money from these Somali daycares and Feed the Hungry groups that's come from the federal government also goes back in donations to, which party? Which party do you think? If you said Democrats, you'd be right. When we come back, the case of the missing lead detective that apparently the big law firm Butler Snow couldn't find here in Nashville. Tom Papper joins us after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
These illegal skill games, they keep popping up. Fights break out. They're illegal. We got drugs. We got gangs. They're all over the place. How do you get illegal slot machines in convenience stores when Governor Youngkin, you vetoed it? And no referendum, nobody passed it. How are they still here?
At the end of the day, it is local Commonwealth's attorneys that have to bring the cases against the establishments. and to get them out. And so, yes, I vetoed bills. The High Court has said that they can't be there. And on top of that, our Attorney General has done a full investigation. And we go back to our Commonwealth's attorneys in so many jurisdictions refuse to enforce the law. That's the bottom line. They protect the criminals at the expense of the victims. And that's why, again, elections matter. We have got to elect prosecutors who will put people in jail.
This ad paid for by Churchill Downs.
Is your pet ready for some possum fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at creeksidepethotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We are joined on our Zoom Newsmaker line right now by our lead political reporter at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network, winner of the Dow Prize for Outstanding Local Journalism, the best outstanding local journalism in the country, which he won along with yours truly and Christina Boteria, our executive editor. Tom Papper joins us. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Michael.
So last week, this big law firm called Butler Snow was hired by the mayor of Nashville, Freddie O'Connell, to investigate claims made by a whistleblower, retired Metro Nashville police officer, that there was all sorts of misconduct going on in Metro Nashville Police Department. And that that misconduct actually included misconduct with regards to the Covenant Killer case, which we've been very much involved in. As everybody knows, we sued Metro Nashville in May of 2023 to obtain documents from the Covenant Killer, 28-year-old Audrey Elizabeth Hale, who self-identified as a born female, who self-identified as a male. We ended up losing that case in state court at the trial court level. P.S. The judge there hauled me into court on claims of false claims, basically, of contempt of court, then dismissed the charges. We lost when she came up with this copyright claim that had been put forward by the Covenant Parents Trust, which was beyond ludicrous. That case now, we've appealed it to a court of appeals. We're expecting that to be determined shortly. But then we ended up in our federal case against the FBI. In essence, Tom, we've gotten almost all of the Covenant Killer Manifesto. What, of the 2,000 pages estimated, how many pages have we received?
I think we're up to about 1,200 now, thanks to Kash Patel's FBI.
Yeah. So that's a long, involved situation. So they bring in this guy, this firm, Butler Snow, to investigate all these claims. Well, there's some claims they apparently were charged with investigating that they didn't investigate. Everything related to the Covenant Killer case, which was kind of a key element of this whistleblower's complaint. So tell us, why did that happen, and what's going on with that whistleblower?
Well, it's very interesting because the whistleblower complaint specifically went back to the original publication of 3 pages from Audrey Hale's manifesto by Stephen Crowder. And it alleged that after these pages were published, it provoked a massive response at Metro Nashville Police Department. The assistant chief called in every detective assigned to the Covenant case, called them to headquarters, and wanted to immediately interview them. They hadn't even been able to contact lawyers. This is all according to Davidson, by the way. So the assistant
By the way,
chief
say
eventually...
that the Davidson, Garrett Davidson.
Garrett Davidson, sorry. Yes, the
is
former Metro Nashville Police Department lieutenant who retired, then made this complaint directly to Mayor Freddie O'Connell. So, and Davidson, by the way, was in the department's internal affairs division, essentially. So he was very familiar with, let's say, personnel disputes, internal discipline, etc. And he said that the request to interview these guys was eventually backed off, but the alternative solution that they came up with was to take every officer off of the case. And we do know, just from public reporting and what the department has confirmed, that shortly after the publication of those pages by Crowder, they did in fact remove every officer from the Covenant investigation. So the question, of course, within the realm of this whistleblower complaint is, well, is this a valid form of discipline? Was this a proper action? And according to Butler Snow, this major law firm, well, we don't know, because that portion of the complaint was made off limits after Garrett Davidson was charged criminally with taking files from Metro Nashville Police Department. Some of them are allegedly related to the Covenant investigation.
Well, hold on. So Mayor Freddie O'Connell says, let's investigate everything in this complaint. They start the investigation, and then all of a sudden, they start investigating the whistleblower. And then they put, I think there's misdemeanors and felony charges that are pending against the whistleblower. And Butler Snow says, well, Metro Nashville wouldn't let us ask any questions of any Metro Nashville Police Department officer who was involved in the Covenant. We can't ask him questions about Covenant. And we also know that they did not ask any questions of the lead investigator in the case, Bobby Samuels. Bobby Samuels was the lead investigator in this case from from March of 2023 until sometime early 2024. We don't know when. And he resigned mysteriously. No one knows where he is. That seems a little weird to me. Doesn't it seem to you?
It does. We do know that he left the state. That's what the department told us only in February of this year. Again, he left in early 2024. It was implied maybe January, February with the way the department made the statement. And it was not reported for an entire year until the Tennessee Star learned about this in February 2025. Now, just for the timeline purposes, the pages released by Crowder were published in November of 2023. Bobby Samuels left the department in sometime early 2024. This complaint about the whistleblower did not arise until last summer. So it seems to me, if these detectives, or if this law firm, I should say, really wanted to get to the bottom of the Covenant complaint specifically, they could have interviewed Bobby Samuels, who, as far as we can tell, is no longer a member of law enforcement, would not be held to any standard by Metro Nashville Police Department because he doesn't work there anymore, and might have actually been able to give details that none of the other people interviewed could have, but for some reason he was not interviewed. His name does not appear in the document. There's no statement saying that they attempted to track down former Detective Samuels and were unable to. Instead, this is one of these really infamous, I think, hanging chads that's just left out there unmentioned.
Now, we legally obtained some of the writings of the Covenant killer. We also legally obtained some documents related to the investigation. And we began publishing stories based upon those documents. And what's interesting about that, it basically, the whole long story on the alleged criminal contempt of court hearing that the judge Alicia Miles compelled me to appear at. Oh, she had a bunch of documents in camera for review, and she said, "Well, you can't submit any of these documents for court so people could see them." And then a reporter at WSMV called her up and said, "Hey, Leahy's Tennessee Star is writing stories about this. You ought to investigate him for contempt of court." What are you talking about? So she hauled me into court. It's a big deal all over the place. I was there, and the purported reason was to see if I had violated any court order, which I hadn't. But then I got in there. I wasn't allowed to talk, and then she changed the whole thing. It was about the landscape of the case, and it's sort of a hanging chat out there. But then she issued her final ruling, and I don't think she has any jurisdiction on that matter. But this is a long way to get to this point. Among the documents we obtained were a document from the FBI dated, I think, May 12th, May 10th or 11th or 12th, 2023. The FBI told Metro Nashville Police Department, what was the exact word that they called it? Legacy tokens. If you have legacy tokens from a mass shooting, you don't have to release them. And by the way, there's a precedent from Columbine where you could destroy them. That was pretty controversial. But the other thing that was controversial is there were notes from Bobby Samuel from a warrant they executed at Vanderbilt Medical School, not medical school, but Vanderbilt Hospital, psychiatric notes, where he said that the medical professional was told by the killer before these circumstances happened that she wanted to kill her father and others. And there's a duty to tell that. And they didn't do that, clearly exposing Vanderbilt University to liability charges. That statute of limitations would have begun in our story in mid-June 2024. It's a one-year statute of limitations. Statute of limitations has come and gone. So that's the rest of the background on that. Tom Pappert, your thoughts?
Well, I would just add that not only did he write that document, former Detective Bobby Samuels, but he also was the person who, one of the two detectives who was in the room interviewing Audrey Hale's parents, the parents of the killer. And he specifically asked them about this specific incident that apparently occurred at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, where Audrey Hale had apparently said she wanted to kill her parents, at least kill her father, and maybe commit a mass shooting in addition. And they asked the parents point blank, Bobby Samuels, did you know about this? Did she say this in your presence? And the parents essentially said, no, we had no idea they said that. That indicates to me that Vanderbilt University Medical Center heard from Audrey Hale that she wanted to kill her father and did not do what they were supposed to do in this instance at the time, which is let the intended victim know that he has something to worry about.
Yeah, there's a law that says you've got to do that when that happens, and they didn't. But what's interesting about that, this would expose the Vanderbilt Medical Center to huge liability cases if they were to be brought by the family of the victims or even the survivors or Covenant School. And yet, apparently, we did the story, June of 2024. It's a one-year statute of limitations. That statute of limitations has come and gone. Vanderbilt Medical Center appears to be scot-free on this particular situation because nobody's filed a lawsuit, as far as we know, against them for liability for their professional failing to their duty to warn. Your thoughts on that, Tom?
Well, that does seem to be the case, and I would say not only have they avoided responsibility for that, but they're avoiding a lot of scrutiny from all outlets other than the Tennessee Star. Audrey Hale was a 22-year mental health patient, and it seems to me that the one detective interested in pursuing this line of inquiry at Metro Nashville Police Department, again, mysteriously left the state.
We have no idea where he is.
He might have had something interesting to say, he wasn't contacted by these investigators.
And Metro Nashville says, oh, Butler Snow, you can't ask anything about Covenant, which is really the core of the complaint from the whistleblower. Sounds very suspicious to me. Tom, when we come back, more suspicion from Kilmar Abrego Garcia. You won't believe this. Back after this.
Is a record player the best way to listen to music? Of course not. So why are you still taking vitamins in pill form that haven't been upgraded since the 1930s? Even if you don't have trouble swallowing, most vitamins in pill form can't be absorbed very well. It's time to upgrade to the pill-free future of vitamins. Advanced nutrition company, Healthy Cell, created a patent-pending ingestible gel that is clinically proven to have 265% the absorption rate of tablets. These physician-formulated supplements come in a small gel pack. You tear off the top and shoot it down. You can also mix it in water. They taste great, they're convenient on the go, and they're more natural too, without chemical binders, fillers, and coatings. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com. HEALTHYCELL.com.
Is your pet ready for some pawsome fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at creeksidepethotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
These illegal skill games that keep popping up, fights break out, they're illegal, we got drugs, we got gangs, they're all over the place. How do you get illegal slot machines in convenience stores when Governor Youngkin, you vetoed it? And no referendum, nobody passed it. How are they still here?
At the end of the day, it is local Commonwealth's attorneys that have to bring the cases against the establishments and to get them out. And so, yes, I've vetoed bills. The high court has said that they can't be there. And on top of that, our attorney general has done a full investigation. And we go back to our Commonwealth's attorneys in so many jurisdictions refuse to enforce the law. That's the bottom line. They protect the criminals at the expense of the victims. And that's why, again, elections matter. We have got to elect prosecutors who will put people in jail.
This ad paid for by Churchill Downs.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Tom Pappert is with us. Tom, you've got this story about the singing illegal alien, put a TikTok video up, who's been accused of human smuggling, been charged with it. Could also be charged with human trafficking in state law here in Tennessee. But what do you make of this? We played earlier today this 60-second TikTok video of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. There he is out there in the open, the blue skies above, singing some kind of Spanish song. I don't know what it's about, freedom or love or I'm a cool guy.
I know if you want to hear, Michael. I looked it up. It's very interesting. It's a song called Himno de Victoria. It's a religious song by a Puerto Rican televangelist, one of these guys who gets on Spanish language television and asks for your money. And it is about divine intervention in one's life, let's say. So according to Abrego Garcia, the way I read this, he's saying God himself got him out of ICE custody over the Christmas holiday.
So apparently you can be an illegal alien, commit a crime by crossing illegally into the country. You can be scheduled for deportation. And while you're scheduled for deportation, you can allegedly be involved in human smuggling, of which there's plenty of visual evidence of that happening, thanks to your great reporting, Tom. But the Biden-era FBI can say, get released, and then 4 big law firms can spend well over $12 million defending you in excessive due process. And in essence, what is this song doing? It's mocking the U.S. justice system. Your thoughts on this, Tom Pappert?
Well, it's mocking the U.S. justice system. It's mocking the U.S. taxpayer, which in 2019 paid to have this guy's immigration case fully adjudicated, only to have an Obama-appointed judge decide 5 years later, 6 years later, no, it wasn't all the way adjudicated, and now he gets another appeal period. It's also an insult to the entire Trump administration, which this entire case has been made into one big referendum on President Trump's immigration agenda. And Kilmar Abrego Garcia is simply reaping the benefits. And I do wonder, one must sit back and think, what are his lawyers thinking? These 4 high-profile firms, Quinn Emanuel, Murray Osorio, Sherrard Rovoit and Harbison, and of course, Hecker Fink in New York. What are they thinking as they watch their client that's likely received more than $10 million in what they claim, at least 2 of these law firms, is pro bono legal representation, and now he's out here thumbing his nose for the world to see to the tune of 1 million views on TikTok.
Yeah. Is that how many? 1 million views on TikTok?
It had 800,000 last time I looked, and that was last night. So my guess is we've hit the 1 million mark.
Yeah, this guy is something else. And clearly this, to me, I think his attorneys are saying, what are you doing, right? But maybe not. Maybe that's just part of their plan, right? They say, let's basically have a full-on assault on American law. That's basically what they're doing, it seems to me. Okay, so Judge Waverly Crenshaw, Middle Tennessee, an Obama appointee, has canceled his trial date on the human smuggling charges. What's that about?
Well, Michael, instead, we're going to finally get around to that evidentiary hearing for the vindictive prosecution claims that Crenshaw greenlit earlier this year. I believe it was in October. He highlighted the Fox News interview by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's possible evidence of vindictive prosecution, and he said that the prosecutors would have to answer to this. Now, they've submitted, according to the DOJ, more than 3,000 pages of internal DOJ memos and communications, and I imagine like text messages and emails. They've submitted all of this to Crenshaw. He's reviewed it in camera, but now the judge has indicated that regardless of whether he considers this vindictive prosecution claim to be credible, and he's indicated that he has, shockingly enough, no matter what, he has to hold this evidentiary hearing. Otherwise, it opens up the possibility of appeal for Abrego Garcia. So essentially what you're seeing here, in the most charitable reading possible, is Abrego Garcia, in my opinion, continues to game the system. He's found a way to delay this trial, potentially 2 or 3 months. He was supposed to be walking into the courtroom and going before a jury of, I guess, his peers, American citizens. I don't know if they're really his peers, but that was supposed to be happening January 27th. Now we're back up to be announced.
The good news is U.S. Attorney recently confirmed Braden Bushek, a friend of ours, is in charge of this case. And I think he's going to very aggressively push back. And in particular, I think we're going to see an evisceration of these vindictive prosecution claims. And if the judge were to accept it and dismiss it, my guess is it would immediately go to the Court of Appeals and Judge Waverly Crenshaw, if you were to buy this ridiculous argument, would be reversed on appeal. Your thoughts, Tom Pappert?
I think that is correct. And I think, frankly, that getting some bad decisions from these judges is some of the best things that can happen when it comes to achieving American justice. These judges seem like they know that they're going to be reversed on appeal. And so the answer, the stalling tactic, is just to keep the case in their court as long as humanly possible. Don't let it get to the appellate level. That way, Abrego Garcia can stay free.
Tom, thanks so much. When we come back, the author of Misrule of Law, a great attorney, retired attorney, Mark Pulliam, will talk about recent Supreme Court decisions and the blow-up at the Heritage Foundation on the Ed Meese Center. Back after this.
Each of us is born with 30 trillion cells that make us. These cells determine how we feel, perform, sleep, focus, and how long we live. And to live our best life, all we have to do is feed our cells properly. But most supplements don't reach our cells, keeping us from reaching our full potential. Make every cell count with Healthy Cell. Founded with a mission to empower people to take control of their own health at the most fundamental level, the cell. Dr. Vincent Gempapa, world-renowned cell researcher and medical doctor, created supplements that work at the cellular level to support immune health, better sleep, sharper focus, and healthy aging. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com, HEALTHYCELL, and use code GODZILLA for 20% off.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's the top news of the day.
There's a number of Democratic members of Congress who are pushing for impeachment, not just going after the president, going after RFK Jr. and others.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
Judge Weinberg.
Listen, it's the most important midterm in our lifetime.
Cats and Cosby, weekdays 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the stations of the John Frederick Media Network.
This is a big deal.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JF Radio.
This is WJFN, Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFV, Portsmouth.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Could the new year bring an end to the war in Ukraine? President Trump is sounding cautiously optimistic. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports on the president's weekend meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky.
Donald hosted the Ukrainian leader for talks in Florida, declaring that Ukraine and Russia are closer than ever before to a peace deal. However, both leaders acknowledge that difficult issues remain, including whether Russia can keep Ukrainian territory it controls. President Trump insisted that both countries want peace, but warned that negotiations could still break down. After their meeting, the two presidents called European leaders to discuss the latest developments. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Today, President Trump is hosting Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago. The two leaders are discussing implementation of Phase 2 of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. China once again flexing its military muscle off Taiwan, with its Army and Navy conducting live fire drills off the self-governed island that Beijing claims as its own.
Officials in Beijing say the purpose of this move is to warn against what it calls separatist and external interference forces. But Taiwanese officials say they're placing their forces on alert. They also call the Beijing government the biggest destroyer of peace. The drills come after Beijing expressed anger at American arms sales to Taiwan.
Correspondent Andrew Stewart says Taiwan is warning that the Chinese exercises will affect commercial air travel. Tens of millions of Americans are under winter storm advisories, watches, or warnings as a potent winter storm moves across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, with the Northeast next in line. Along with lots of snow, the storm is packing fierce winds and dangerously cold temperatures. The Dow down 227 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband Ryan died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ETHOS.com/term.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Two Southeast Asian neighbors are meeting in China, hoping to end a serious border dispute.
Foreign ministers from Cambodia and Thailand have convened with their Chinese counterpart to discuss the hardening tensions between the two Southeast Asian countries. The trilateral meeting is being held in a southwestern Chinese province north of the region, where the border dispute is still simmering, although 2 days ago Thailand and Cambodia signed a fresh ceasefire agreement. It ended weeks of fighting that killed more than 100 people and forced hundreds of thousands of others to be evacuated on both sides of the border. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has called for joint efforts to promote regional peace, stability and development. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
There's been a deadly train wreck in Mexico. At least 13 people killed, close to 100 injured in the derailment along a rail line that runs between the Pacific and the Gulf of America. Townhall.com. Elon Musk is slamming New York City's mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani for appointing a non-firefighter to head up the city's fire department.
The former White House advisor wrote in a post on the social platform X, which he controls, quote, "People will die because of this. Proven experience matters where lives are at stake." Despite White House opposition, Mamdani is set to take office in January and has appointed Lillian Bonsignor, a veteran emergency medical service leader, to lead the fire department of the city of New York. Bonsignor, who came out of retirement to accept the post, would be New York's first openly gay fire commissioner and the second woman to lead the department. Bernie Bennett reporting.
One pilot died, the others hospitalized with serious injuries following yesterday's mid-air collision between two helicopters. Happened in the skies over southern New Jersey. The Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board are investigating. More on these stories, townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. We're delighted to welcome to our microphone all-star panelist, good friend, author of Misrule of Law, legal expert, the one, the only, Mark Pulliam.
Thank you. Good to be here this morning.
Mark, I'm so glad that you are part of our program, because it seems every Monday in our second hour, there are more legal stories to talk about. And in particular, this recent Supreme Court decision about the National Guard in Illinois, on the face of it, it looks like it is a setback for Donald Trump. And yet, you have the rest of the story.
Yes. And people who listen, who follow the show regularly, will know that we've been talking about the hijinks in Chicago for some time with the mayor, with the governor, with this group of liberal judges in Chicago, all working to undermine the president's efforts to deport illegal aliens and interfering with ICE in that regard. And so President Trump deployed, federalized the National Guard, and of course the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois took him to court. And The news that got reported is that on December 23rd, the Supreme Court decided not to issue a stay of an injunction that a rogue judge in Chicago had issued preventing the deployment. And it was widely reported as a setback.
It was 6-3, wasn't it?
6-3.
Is what, Trump v. Illinois or Illinois v. Trump?
Trump v. Illinois.
Yeah.
And so there's more to it and also less to it than meets the eye. And so quickly, let's try to move through this without getting too far into the weeds. So when the president made this decision to deploy the National Guard, he had to cite some legal basis to do so. And in fact, there's a variety of legal bases, including the Insurrection Act, but there's also a statute, 10 U.S.C. Section 12406, which has 3 subsections, 1, 2, and 3. And the one that he chose to rely upon was subsection 3, which authorizes the president to federalize members of the Guard if he is, quote, unable with the regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. And, in fact, he was having trouble using ICE to conduct these deportation because of all of the crowd interference, rioting, threats, assaults, etc. that was going on.
At an ICE center in Broadview, I think it was Broadview, Illinois?
Broadview, Illinois.
A suburb of Chicago, I think.
Right. And this term, regular forces, had never been interpreted by the Supreme Court. It was literally a blank slate. And so the Trump administration assumed that it meant that unable with your federal law enforcement personnel to execute the laws. And that was the basis that he relied on to invoke the National Guard. And so when the city and the state opposed this and got him before a federal judge, a rogue judge in Chicago, the judge decided that even though this was not the argument that the city and the state were making, but the judge decided that actually regular forces means your armed forces, your military forces. And since there had never been any attempt to use the military, and because under the Posse Comitatus Act, the military is prohibited from executing the laws. Anyway, the district judge in Chicago said basically the statute that you're relying upon does not authorize you to do what you're doing, and I'm going to enjoin you. The city didn't, and the state did not agree with that, and when they went to the Seventh Circuit, they relied upon just the regular forces means law enforcement personnel of the federal government. And the Seventh Circuit decided not to grant a stay. And so the U.S. government appealed to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, when it got it, it said, you know what, we really want to know what regular forces means, and we want briefing on that issue.
Okay, so this is the key to it.
Well, it is a key because this is an issue that had never been decided before, and they decided, and it wasn't part of the party's arguments in the courts below, and in appellate law, it's a pretty important principle that you got to live with whatever arguments you started with in the courts, and that you can't change your theories or bring up new things along the way. But the Supreme Court sort of invited the parties to do this, which was kind of a little bit of a red flag, particularly since it wasn't part of their record, so there wasn't a whole lot of evidence in the record, and also there's no oral argument. This was an emergency stay application. And so everything is being done on an accelerated basis.
Everything these days is an emergency stay, isn't it? It's like if we look at how many emergency stays are requested of the Supreme Court, oh my goodness, in the past couple of years. With Trump, it's like off the charts.
And he's won almost all of them.
Like
so
90%.
This is what was noteworthy about this. It was the rare defeat, except it's not a total defeat. So long story short, the Supreme Court 6-3 said you can't get there under this subsection, but there were 3 dissents. So the bad news is that Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett were part of the majority. And
I think Kavanaugh was part of the majority.
Kavanaugh wrote a concurring opinion basically saying, I'm not comfortable with what's in the majority opinion, but I'll go along with it for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
But there were 3 robust dissents, Alito and Thomas. Thomas joined Alito's dissent, and then Gorsuch had his own dissent. And so Alito was very, very unhappy with the court's majority, wrote a very long, fiery dissent. It was basically 100% behind President Trump, and he called them out on every one of the fact that they reopened this can of worms, introducing new issues that hadn't been raised below. And then he said, and even after you reopen it, you got it wrong. You ignored a very similar Supreme Court precedent from way back, from 1827, Martin v. Mott, that Justice Story wrote the opinion for unanimous court, etc. But the bottom line is that they did not say that the president can never federalize the National Guard or that he can't call out federal troops. You just couldn't do it under this section 12406 sub 3. And that, in fact, the Insurrection Act provides a clear path to do what he wants, and under his Article 2 powers, he has the inherent authority to send federal troops in.
Like Marines, right?
The Marines, the 101st Airborne, and that, in fact, by putting the president in this position, instead of him relying on the National Guard, the court is basically inviting him to send in federal troops, which is what Eisenhower did
in Little Rock.
In Little Rock,
to desegregate, yeah.
And the same thing, I think, the Kennedy administration in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a state that's refusing to submit to federal law, to allow the enforcement of federal law, you send in federal troops. So this could be a Pyrrhic victory for the state of Illinois.
I think it is.
Yeah, so that, okay, you can't federalize our National Guard, but here comes the 101st
And the bottom
Airborne.
line, blue states and blue cities are allowing the population and encouraging the population to resist federal law. That will not stand.
The bad thing about this is it indicates some squishiness on the part of the conservative majority,
Well,
and
of course.
we may see this in the future.
Of course. When we come back, the Heritage Foundation is in the process of blowing up, particularly in the Edward Meese Legal Center. We'll have the details on that after we get back.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now.
The math is simple. Every dollar we waste on unnecessary federal supervision is a dollar we can't use to fight violent crime. The Safer Supervision Act cuts bureaucratic waste and frees up law enforcement resources to protect families from serious threats. Law enforcement officers across the country and Republicans in Congress agree this is a smarter way to improve public safety. Stop the waste, protect our communities, fix federal supervision. Visit safersupervision.com to help. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Ready to turn your idle equipment into cash? Purple Wave Auction is your solution. We specialize in no-reserve online auctions, bringing nationwide buyers to your doorstep. From excavators to dozers, we'll market your assets to a vast audience of eager buyers. No hauling required. We photograph and list your equipment where it sits. Experience our transparent and simple process with expert support. Join successful sellers who trust Purple Wave. Visit purplewave.com today to learn how easy selling can be.
How much did you win at Rosie's Gaming Emporium?
Hi, I'm Jerry from Richmond. I won a $23,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
I'm Tammy. I'm from Newport News, and I just won a $5,400 jackpot from Rosie's.
Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm from West Virginia, and I won $99,000 jackpot at Rosie's.
Are you ready? Learn more about Rosie's rewards and jackpots at rosiesgaming.com. Must be 18 or older. Problem gambling? Call 1-888-532-3500.
Is your fur maybe looking a bit rough? Transform them from shaggy to snazzy with Beef Fur and After Pet Grooming in Marietta, Georgia. Their top-notch groomers pamper your pups with baths, custom cuts, and nail trims that'll have them strutting like show dogs. From mobile grooming vans to their cozy salon, they'll make your pet spa day a tail-wagging blast. Book now at beefurandaftergrooming.com. Beef Fur and After, where pets go from grr to glamorous.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Well, big news at the Heritage Foundation. None of it good for them. Mark Pulliam, you are an esteemed retired attorney, great career in law, graduate of the University of Texas Law School. You write all the time at Misrule of Law, very popular. Glenn Reynolds at Instapundit usually highlights some of your writings. So this is back in the land of irony. So you gave me a Christmas gift. It was the Heritage Foundation Guide to the Constitution. And the senior editor was this guy, Josh Blackman, a brilliant scholar at the University of South Texas Law School, associated with Randy Barnett. And he'd been the editor of this thing. It's a big, beautiful book. Well, tell us the rest of the story.
Well, so this was, I think, the third edition of this guide, and they completely revamped it in this third guide. And right after it came out, it turns out that this exodus, as it's being marketed, happened, and Josh Blackman and most of the other authors, and the entire legal center, the Ed Meese Center for Legal and Judicial Studies, left. And
by the way, among those, my friend John Malcolm,
yes,
who I've known for many years and is a brilliant constitutional scholar.
Actually, he got fired before this exodus happened because Heritage...
They knew it was coming.
Yeah, that he was basically, in their view, scheming to orchestrate this exodus. So anyway, I had given you my copy, which I had just purchased, and I was planning on getting a signed version, which Heritage was offering as a premium if you gave a certain amount of money as a tax-deductible donation. And it would be signed by the authors. And I thought, well, you know what? I would like something signed by the authors. And then before I got a chance to get the signed copy, all the people that would be signing it left. And so I don't know what they're going to do to satisfy this fulfillment of the premium that they had been offering. So the media loves to present anything bad that happens to the conservative movement or to the MAGA movement as, they pounce on it as, aha, the MAGA movement is failing, that this is the end of the world. It's a crack up of the MAGA agenda. And, this is not a good thing, but we can't exaggerate what happened. So what happened is between 20 and 30 is the best estimate of the staff of the Heritage Foundation left more or less simultaneously over concerns that Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation, had messed up by at first defending Tucker Carlson for hosting Nick Fuentes on a podcast, and then coming out with sort of a lame apology for his defense of Tucker Carlson. And a lot of people were upset that that was sort of a tacit embrace of anti-Semitism. Nick Fuentes is a pretty toxic person. He's a Holocaust denier. He's a Hitler admirer, etc. And so that's not a good thing to have any significant group of people leave en masse from an organization. But the Heritage Foundation is over 50 years old. For at least the last 40 years, it's definitely the most prestigious and influential conservative think tank in the country, has nearly 200 staff, has an annual budget of over $130 million. So it's not as if the Heritage Foundation is on the ropes. What this is maybe a little bit of a black eye. What I think the more significant aspect of this is it's indicative of a rift in conservative intellectual ranks over how do we deal with diversity of thought on the right, and how open-minded are we willing to be about people like Nick Fuentes, and now we have Tucker Carlson, you have Candace Owens, people floating crackpot ideas, conspiracy theories, some crazy anti-Semitism, accusing Israel of plotting the assassination of Charlie Kirk, etc. And to me, that's the big. So these people that left were joining a recently formed think tank called Advancing American Freedom, which was founded in 2021 by former Vice President Mike Pence. And so that kind of reinforces this idea that there's now a renewed tension between old-fashioned establishment republicanism represented by Pence versus the more populist MAGA version of conservatism, and that this shows that there's been a big divide in the ranks. What I think we need to keep in mind is that the conservative movement has always consisted of diverse elements. And you had people that were primarily concerned about free market economics and property rights. You had people that were primarily concerned about traditional morality, religious issues. And you had people who were primarily concerned with fighting communism. And all three of these elements sort of formed together, had a bond. And Frank Meyer, one of the founding editors of National Review, coined the term fusionism to describe this.
Let me just add to that. Fusionism is basically, let's all get together on the key things that matter, and let's win. And we took this idea, as you know, to advance the Tea Party movement in 2009 when we focused on three core values: free markets, fiscal responsibility, and constitutionally limited governments. I think we kind of need that going forward, don't you?
We need to work together, that we need to be united, but at the same time, we have to be willing to cut out kooky people who discredit the movement, because those kooky people and their kooky ideas will discredit the movement. William F. Buckley, the founder of National Review, famously banished the John Birch Society from the ranks of respectable conservative thinking when they came out and said that President Eisenhower was a knowing agent of the worldwide communist conspiracy. And that's because that would reflect poorly on other mainstream conservatives if they were associated with those kinds of kooky ideas. And more recently, I can remember when there was a guy down in Louisiana named David Duke, who was a KKK member,
guy.
and he got elected to the state legislature. He was running for, I don't know, I think he ran for president one time.
He did.
And so he was a good-looking guy. He was kind of glib, and so the conservatives thought, we do not want to be associated with this guy, and so they completely cut him off. It's as if he had died. And that is what I think the conservatives need to be doing with people like Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, that if you go out and start engaging in just blatant anti-Semitism, Holocaust denial, those kinds of things, that is not part of the conservative movement and needs to be given really no credence and no tolerance. But that I think it's important that the elements of the rights get back together and we have a renewal of fusionism.
Okay, this is funny. You know, Harmeet Dillon is fabulous, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. And we know Harmeet. Her firm represented Robbie Starbuck here in his challenge to the Tennessee Republican Party. And they're prepared to represent me if we ever get a federal copyright claim on the publication of the Covenant Killer Manifesto, which is, again, a ridiculous argument to be made. But she put this out just late last night. Quote, conservative, end quote, influencers, if you think you are, quote, keeping the pressure on or winning by spreading BS, she says a different word, attacks on Donald Trump's handpicked cabinet, you are not. You are earning money to spread misinformation. You are hoes, Hoes. Learn an honest profession. And then she said, this tweet may be unfair to hoes. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's pretty darn good.
Well, unfortunately, in the age of social media and podcasts, these crazy voices, which would normally never see the light of day, or you'd have to found your own organization or your own publication in order to disseminate it. Now you can get millions of followers. It's like people wanting to watch a train wreck or a car accident or read the National Enquirer and see pictures of two-headed people or UFOs or whatever. And there's this just kind of crazy curiosity about eccentric ideas, which gives them traction. But just because they have some appeal to looky-loos doesn't mean that they need to be part of the conservative agenda.
See, back to William F. Buckley Jr. When he said John Birch Society is out, there were very few outlets, and he had one, and people paid attention. Right now, there are literally thousands of little fiefdoms out there.
Yes.
Of so-called influencers who are just in the business of getting clicks and making money. And that's why this has become a little bit more complicated. When we come back, one of my favorite topics, rogue federal district court judges. They're out of control. And we have one in particular we want to talk about. Amir Ali. Where's he from? Back after this.
This is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Solti. We got a wonderful email from one of our customers up east named Joe, and here's what he had to say. I started taking Solti almost out of desperation with little hope because I was resigned to the futility that although I was up to taking 2 statins a day, high cholesterol was something I just had to learn to live with. In fact, when I turned 60, after taking a stress cardio test, my doctor called me on a Saturday, which of course is never a good sign, and told me that I was clogged more than 95% of the people my age. I had an angioplasty and a stent procedure done at that time. Today, my stubborn triglycerides are only 1/3 of what they had been before starting taking Solti. My prescription statin dosage has shrunk from 60 milligrams to only 10 milligrams a day. My primary care doctor that I have had for many years still can't believe the results, and neither can I. Thank you, Salty, for providing such a wonderful product. And folks, I want to invite you to take care of your heart also by going to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. Use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% discount on your initial shipment. Thanks so much.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's the top news of the day.
There's a number of Democratic members of Congress who are pushing for impeachment, not just going after the president, going after RFK Jr. and others.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
Judge Weinberg.
Listen, it's the most important midterm in our lifetime.
Cats and Cosby, weekdays 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the stations of the John Frederick Media Network.
This is a big deal.
Attorney General Miyares and John Fredericks talk about skill games.
They're unregulated slot machines.
They pop up in 7-Elevens in every corner of Virginia.
The General Assembly has spoken on this.
Skill games.
These things are illegal.
It's the Wild Wild West. Fights break out. Robberies increase.
Skill games.
They prey on the less fortunate.
I say it's a tax on the poor.
They're breaking the law.
My job is to enforce the law. These machines are not allowed.
Enforce the law and get them out of there.
When you see skill games, call the local sheriff.
These things are illegal.
Paid for by Churchill Downs.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall & Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
In studio, all-star panelist, good friend, author of Misrule of Law, retired attorney, trying to coax him out of retirement here. The one, the only, Mark Pulliam. Mark, who knew Amir Ali is a federal district court judge in the District of Columbia? Where was he born?
Well, he was born in Canada. His parents are Egyptians, and he wasn't naturalized until 2019.
Why are we naturalizing these people?
Well,
I mean, and by the way, speaking of naturalization, you know who's in trouble on that? Ilhan Omar, because she claimed she was naturalized when she was 17 years old. You can only be naturalized at 17 if you're in the country, and your parents, your mother or father, are naturalized. Guess what? Her mother died when she was 2 years old. Her father has never been naturalized. So there's a problem there. She may not be a naturalized American citizen.
Yeah. Well, and Ali continues to be a citizen of Canada as well, so he has dual citizenship.
You can't do that.
So he's a foreign-born, he's Muslim. But so we've spent a lot of time on this show talking about rogue judges, and I spent a lot of time on my blog, Misrule of Law, talking about rogue judges. But this guy, Amir Ali, is like the worst rogue judge in America. And I know this, I can say this because Article 3 project founder Mike Davis has called the ruling that we're going to be talking about, quote, one of the most lawless and dangerous orders yet, close quote.
I literally was just talking to Mike Davis about other matters yesterday.
And did he bring this up?
No, there's so much other stuff.
No,
to bring up.
he's mad about a lot of things. Representative Andy Ogles has drafted articles of impeachment even before this order came out for Amir Ali. So who is he and what did he do that has got everybody in an uproar? Well, so he's, as we said, a foreign-born left-wing activist appointed by Joe Biden.
Well, and he was confirmed 50 to 49.
Yes, in the waning days of after the election when Joe Biden was a lame duck, the Senate should not have confirmed a single nominee after Biden lost the election. So there's just a lack of discipline in the Senate, which we'll talk about. So he's 39 years old, Muslim, born in Canada to Egyptian parents. He was not naturalized as a U.S. citizen until 2019, barely confirmed after Biden lost the election. And in his short time on the federal bench, he's already had developed a bad record and a bad reputation. One of the first things he did was when President Trump issued his executive order basically freezing the funds being doled out by the State Department for the U.S. Agency for International Development, which turned out to be just a giant slush fund for NGOs with left-wing administrators. And Ali issued a TRO ordering the
temporary restraining order,
saying you cannot withhold funding from these groups. And then there was a great deal of litigation, went up to the Supreme Court, and I think eventually that order, at least in part, stuck, and that those funds, millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars, were ordered to be doled out to these liberal, non-governmental organizations, non-profits that do nothing but pad their buddies and so it's a slush fund for the left. But on December 23rd, a couple of days before Christmas, Ali countermanded a presidential memorandum that the President Trump had issued in March, where he revoked the security clearances of a D.C. lawyer named Mark Zaid and 14 others, on the grounds that he had concluded that they were not trustworthy and they should not have access to classified information. And what Mark Zaid had done that brought him to the president's attention was he represented the leaker who disclosed the confidential conversation between President Trump and Zelensky pertaining to what our response should be in Ukraine.
It looks like a national security violation.
Well, and this is what led to one of the bogus impeachments against Trump. So,
yeah.
And now Zaid is represented by Abby Lowell,
Abby Lowell,
who's the go-to guy for every crooked Democrat who gets into trouble. He was the guy that unsuccessfully defended Hunter Biden in that trial.
Well, ultimately,
in
though,
Delaware.
Hunter got a pardon for all that stuff.
Yeah,
from Daddy-O.
Yeah, which the
fix was in.
He lost the case, but it didn't matter because he got the pardon anyway. So what has gotten people outraged is the idea that a foreign-born person, 39 years old, who's extremely left-wing, a Muslim with Egyptian parents, who's never been elected, he got lucky with this last-minute confirmation by the barest of margins, is in the position of overturning. He has more power than the President of the United States, who won in a decisive national election. And you have to wonder, where are we when the unelected judges have this kind of authority? There's no property right in a secured in a security clearance, and that they're difficult to obtain, and you can easily lose them over
minor stuff.
Minor stuff.
Yeah.
And so this is the guy in charge of the executive branch. He's our commander in chief, and if he decides that somebody is a security risk and doesn't get to have a security clearance anymore, and says, okay, you've lost your security clearance, the idea that you can run into federal court with Abby Lowell representing you and get some clown who's nothing but a liberal political activist to agree with you and to say, yes, the president cannot revoke your security clearance. What kind of world are we living in? And so this is what has people in an uproar. And I think appropriately, this particular episode is like, it makes him a poster child for the judicial insurrection. These people are doing everything they can to oppose the election that President Trump won in 2024.
So this guy's name is Amir Ali. Well, he's on another fellow with a similar name, also foreign-born, is also on the federal district court there. His name is Amit Mehta.
Yeah.
We know about Amit Mehta. He was born in India.
Mm.
And he's the judge who unjustly put our buddy Stuart Parks in prison, in a federal medium security prison in Memphis, because Stuart walked through the Capitol for 20 minutes. That's the guy.
Yeah. And before Amir Ali got nominated and confirmed to the federal bench, he it was involved in criminal justice reform, which is a euphemism for trying to prevent criminals from being prosecuted and convicted, and to try to make it more difficult for the police to do their jobs. He also worked with Alliance for Justice, which is this well-funded dark money operation that tries to criticize and oppose conservative judicial candidates and to push through these leftist activists as judges. So he had the thinnest of credentials. He went to Harvard Law School, but his actual practice experience was very thin. And now, at age 39, he has a lifetime appointment to one of the most important, judicial benches in the country, the District of Columbia. And we know, just based on his limited track record so far, what his orientation is. And so I think Congress ought to be thinking really hard about tightening up the rules for eligibility to be
So let me ask you that.
Judge.
Should you be able to serve as a federal district court judge if you are a dual citizen? I think you have a problem with that. You have divided loyalties.
I wonder, honestly, whether you should be able to be naturalized as U.S. citizen without relinquishing your citizenship elsewhere.
Oh, you
need to have undivided loyalty to the Constitution of the United States. And if you are a citizen of a foreign country, you have divided loyalties, and you cannot be 100% committed to the Constitution.
He's a Canadian citizen and a U.S. citizen at the same time. We're in conflict with Canada over any number of issues.
And after he clerked for a liberal federal judge after he got out of law school, he clerked on the Canadian Supreme Court.
He clerked on the Canadian Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Which is a totally different sense of rule of law there.
And frankly, Canada is kind of an embarrassment in many ways. It's like a whole country that's as crazy as Minnesota. And so,
which is crazier, Minnesota or Canada? It's a close call.
A close call, and I think the only reason you don't have the same kind of welfare fraud up in Canada is because maybe they're not as generous with their benefits as we are. But Tim Walz is going to have to account for the fact that as much as $8 or $9 billion was pilfered by the Somali community up there without any investigation or opposition, and without even a whole lot of repercussions. There's been a few people been prosecuted, but this is what happens when you have progressives, so-called progressives in charge.
Here's the thing. What we need to do is we need to pass a law. Andy Ogles, are you listening? Marsha Blackburn, are you listening? Bill Hagerty, are you listening? That basically makes it illegal to be a dual citizen because you're going to have divided loyalties. And the world's very different now than it was 100 years ago.
Yeah. And the Republicans need to be stronger in opposing when you have a Democrat in the White House, God forbid it could happen again, so that you don't get people like this. You know, that I think it's legitimate to oppose them, is that you're not suitable for the federal bench.
When we come back, predictions for the new year. Ooh, I can't wait. We'll be back with Mark Pulliam, author of The Misrule of Law. After this, I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Ponder this, Judgment Day, the day you go before the Lord face to face. For many of us, this day seems like a long way away, and we are told that all of us will be in a better place when we die. What many of us forget is that our God is a God of justice. On Judgment Day, you will stand before the Lord and account for all of your thoughts, words, and actions during your time here on earth. You might be thinking that you're not such a bad dude, you didn't kill anyone, and you went to church every now and then, so you've earned your ticket to heaven. Hold that thought, as the Lord has told us what we need to get through those pearly gates. We must believe in Him, be baptized, follow Him by keeping His commandments, love Him, and love our friends and enemies. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you possess, how many awards or accolades are on your resume, or how much money you have, nor how high you are on the ladder of success. Judgment Day is real, and you are not judged by a jury of your peers. Prepare each day for Judgment Day. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Did you ever stop and think, why do the wealthy pay less taxes than we do? One reason, they take full advantage of the IRS tax code. Today's tax code is over 2 million pages. Who can read that? Remember the 2016 debate with Hillary Clinton? When asked why he doesn't pay more taxes, President Trump had the perfect answer. He said, if you don't like the current tax code, change it. I follow the very laws that you wrote. That's where Julio Gonzalez and his company, Tax Engineered Services, comes in. Julio's team looks at your taxes after they're done, but before you file them with the IRS. He doesn't get between you and your accountant. He reviews your taxes, makes his recommendations, and only gets 5 to 10% of what he saved you. No money up front, no cost. It's tax literacy for MAGA. He also sees what grants you may qualify for. For more information, text ETS to the number 26786. That's ETS to 26786. Text now.
When you're learning something new, experience matters. At Lifestyles Unlimited, we've spent over 30 years teaching people how real estate investing works and how to build income with a clear, step-by-step strategy. Our program is designed to help you learn what to do, why it works, and how to take action at your own pace. Join today for just $297, a 60% savings off the regular price. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Is your fur baby looking a bit rough? Transform them from shaggy to snazzy with Before and After Pet Grooming in Marietta, Georgia. Their top-notch groomers pamper your pups with baths, custom cuts, and nail trims that'll have them strutting like show dogs. From mobile grooming vans to their cozy salon, they'll make your pet spa day a tail-wagging blast. Book now at beforeandaftergrooming.com. Before and After, where pets go from grr to glamorous.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, Our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Mark Pulliam in studio, all-star panelist, author of Misrule of Law, retired attorney, very distinguished career in the legal field. Okay, Mark, New Year's predictions for 2026. What have you, my friend?
I normally don't get into the crystal ball business, but since we are here, on the doorstep of 2026, I thought I would at least make a stab at this. And so some of these are more warnings than they are predictions. And so the first one is, if the one big beautiful bill doesn't make the economy soar, Republicans will lose the midterms. A lot of people are griping about lack of affordability, trying to blame President Trump for a lot of stuff that was baked into the economy when he took over and that he has no control over. But in fact, this one big beautiful bill hasn't even taken effect yet, and it has a whole bunch of stuff in it, tax incentives and regulatory relief and other things. I certainly hope, and I'm optimistic, that the economy will take off on January 1 when this one
Okay,
big
so
beautiful
I will
bill.
make a prediction.
Okay.
Right, on the same topic. By the way, it's not, the Democrat word is affordability. Donald Trump's word is prices. You see this change he made?
Yeah.
On it? Yeah, it's prices. So I am going to predict that the economy will continue to grow dramatically in 2020. It's 4.3% GDP growth. That hasn't happened for years, for over a decade.
Yeah.
In the last quarter, I predict that the economy will boom in 2026 and that Republicans will, in fact, win the midterm. But not just because of that, because actually Republicans are actually going to get out and grassroots will get votes moving. That's my prediction.
From your lips to God's ear.
I hope God's listening.
So what Republican voters and independent voters that lean Republican, what they're looking for, and this is what James Carville said way back when, is it's the economy, stupid. So the economy matters. And the other is they want to see the Republican-led Congress do something. And if the GOP Congress doesn't get busy and support the MAGA agenda, Republicans will lose the midterms. I'm worried. I fear that. And what this means is the Senate needs to get rid of its blue slip policy. They need to end the filibuster. They need to enact President Trump's executive orders into law, in effect codifying them so that they cannot be reversed at the stroke of a pen if, God forbid, we have a Democrat president someday. The Congress needs to, and the administration, we need to round up the traitors and coup plotters who orchestrated the bogus impeachments, the Russian collusion hoax, Operation Arctic Frost, the baseless and malicious lawsuits and criminal proceedings. And we need to have at least a representative number of rogue judges impeached.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I've got one prediction. New records will be released on the Covenant Killer Manifesto. Oh, they were just released 5 minutes ago. So we have 230 pages just released from the FBI.
You're prescient. You're prescient. And I think one thing we learned from this special election in the Tennessee Congressional District 7 is that the Republican Party nationally, the RNC, the Tennessee Republican Party, and each of the 50 state Republican parties needs to develop a comprehensive grassroots program consisting of an effective get-out-the-vote organization, voter registration, voter messaging campaign, using media calculated to reach younger voters, such as text messages. This is what the Democrats do.
Okay, I have a prediction on that. Oscar Brock, the national committeeman from Tennessee on the Republican State Executive Committee, will resign. He'll be forced to resign because he's turned Democrat, basically.
Yeah.
And he said he won't support Republicans. That will happen in 2026.
I sure hope you're right.
You know who's got has an eye on that? Elon Musk just put out a tweet. Who is this knucklehead, he said.
Mm-hmm.
And he copied Robbie Starbuck and the Tennessee Star. And we just responded to Elon and said, yeah, the knucklehead who's got to resign, Oscar Brock. I guess you could call him a Nepo baby. His dad was the Republican Senator Bill Brock from Tennessee.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. So if the Republicans lose the midterms and the Democrats gain control of Congress, the MAGA agenda will stall amidst a wave of impeachments, congressional hearings and investigations, renewed lawfare, etc. The Democrats will try to block any appointment that President Trump makes to fill a vacancy on the Supreme Court. And this is something that we need to be concerned about. Clarence Thomas is 77. Samuel Alito is 75. Sonia Sotomayor is 71, but not in good health. And John Roberts is going to be turning 71 in January. There may be retirements, due to declining health or otherwise, and this keeping control of the Congress is important, because if we lose our Supreme Court, basically the party's over.
So here's the thing. John Roberts will not retire this year in 2026, nor will Clarence Thomas, nor will Justice Alito. Sonia Sotomayor, however, may be forced to retire for health reasons. And that's my prediction. There you go.
So
Happy New Year.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
All righty.
But we'll see you a week from today in the new year. Up next, Todd Kastner running for mayor of Williamson County here in Tennessee. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, back after this.
The Katz and Cosby Show.
It's the top news of the day.
There's a number of Democratic members of Congress who are pushing for impeachment, not just going after the president, going after RFK Jr. and others.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
Judge Weinberg.
Listen, it's the most important midterm in our lifetime.
Katz and Cosby, weekdays 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the stations of the John Frederick Media Network.
This is a big deal.
If you've tried everything for cheek redness or breakouts and nothing works, it's not your fault. The real cause might be deeper than you think. Introducing Clear Skin Ivermectin Cream from the Wellness Company, a prescription-strength, dermatologist-developed formula that helps reduce inflammation, balance bacteria, and restore your skin's natural. Cream combines 3 medical-grade ingredients for powerful results. Azelaic acid to unclog pores and fade dark spots. Metronidazole to control bacterial imbalance and redness. And ivermectin to calm irritation and eliminate skin parasites that contribute to rosacea and acne. Together, these ingredients work to reduce bumps, swelling, and redness while supporting smoother, healthier, and more radiant skin over time. Formulated and compounded in the United States, this FDA-approved cream is trusted by doctors for visible and lasting results. Experience clear, confident skin with the Wellness Company's Clear Skin Ivermectin Cream. U.S. residents only. Head to twc.health/Godzilla and use code Godzilla to save $20 off, plus free shipping.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or
WENO Nashville, KQPN West Memphis. Get your winning plays and parlays from Godzilla Wins, Saturdays at 7 a.m. or click GodzillaWins.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. New details are emerging from yesterday's talks between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky about a peace plan aimed at ending Russia's war against Ukraine.
Volodymyr Zelensky says that the United States is offering Ukraine security guarantees for a period of 15 years as part of a proposed peace plan with Russia. Zelensky says he would prefer an American commitment of up to 50 years to deter Russia from further attempts at taking Ukrainian land by force. Zelensky told reporters that without security guarantees, realistically, the war would not end. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Coming up this afternoon, Donald Trump welcomes another world leader to his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. He'll be meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu as they hope to boost a U.S.-brokered ceasefire in Gaza, which is facing challenges as it looks to move into a more complicated second phase. A winter storm is packing blizzard conditions and dangerous wind chills. Cody Snell at the National Weather Service says that's causing treacherous travel and power outages in parts of the upper Midwest and along the Great Lakes.
In addition to the winds, these strong winds moving across the Great Lakes, the warm lake waters clashing with the cold air moving over top will produce heavy lake effect snow across portions of the Great Lakes, including downwind of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, specifically into portions of New York State and just south of the Buffalo metro area.
The United States has announced a $2 billion pledge for UN humanitarian aid. The money is a tiny fraction of what the U.S. has contributed in the past, but currently reflects what the Trump administration believes is a generous amount. Shortly after taking office, the president slashed funding for U.S. foreign assistance. Wall Street stocks are lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Mike Gallagher here. Christmas is in the rearview mirror now. If you're anything like me, you're looking at the calendar thinking, okay, what's January going to look like? Let me give you some good news. You can start 2026 ahead instead of behind. My friends at Fellowship Home Loans are still offering one of the most helpful programs I've ever seen. You can refinance your home, lower your monthly payment, and this is the big one, you can skip your next 2 mortgage payments, 2 full months with no payment. That's real breathing room after an expensive December. Maybe you don't want to refi, but you need access to cash. Well, Fellowship now has a fixed rate line of credit. Approval is fast, the rate never changes, and you can use it to clean up those holiday bills or take care of something you've been putting off. I've used Fellowship personally, so has my family. I trust these guys. Before the January bills hit, go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. That's fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
China has conducted war games around Taiwan, simulating a blockade. Here's the BBC's Stephen McDonnell.
The government in Taipei has been swift to condemn the war games as having a serious effect on civil aviation safety and a challenge to international law. The Chinese military says it will carry out what's being called Justice Mission 2025 over 2 days in zones on all sides of Taiwan. Images released by China's Eastern Theatre Command to coincide with the exercises depict a shield and a slogan saying that those who encounter it will be annihilated.
The New York City transit system is retiring the Metro card after more than 30 years. The gold and blue swipeable card was introduced back in 1994 to replace the subway token, which had been used for half a century. Now, to ride the trains and buses, customers can use their credit card or smartphone. News and analysis at townhall.com. Here's the midday Wall Street Business Report.
Wall Street opened lower this morning, while overseas markets in Europe and Asia were mostly lower in thin holiday trading as China stages military drills just off Taiwan. Shares in Taiwan were higher, even after China's military announced those live-fire drills. The 2 biggest credit card companies are reporting 4% growth in U.S. holiday retail sales.
Visa and MasterCard released the figures showing that consumers largely shrugged off their economic worries. Data showed shoppers were more deliberate with their purchases by shopping early and leaning on promotions to get the best deals. Sales of electronics like TVs and smartphones led spending in Visa transactions, while MasterCard said its card users focused on clothing and jewelry. George Williams, Washington.
I'm Rich Thomason.
And I'm Greg Clugston. More on these stories at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, Todd Castor, a friend who's running for mayor of Williamson County, which is just south of Nashville, Population, what, 250,000? What's
about 270.
270 and growing.
Oh, yeah.
It's, there are 95 counties in Tennessee. It's the most affluent county in the state, and perhaps, I think, maybe the fastest growing.
I think that's right.
It's really true. So, Todd, you're running from there, a lifetime career of excellence in business. You were in the healthcare and assisted living business for a long, long time.
41 years.
Just retired. And so let me tell our listeners the story. So I'm sitting there. It's Sunday. It's Christmas week. I'm watching the Titans lose to the Saints. And the doorbell rings. Who on earth could be ringing our doorbell?
This is yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. Who on earth could be ringing our doorbell on a Sunday, Christmas week? So, I walked down to the door, opened the door, and there they are. Susan Kastner, your wife, handing out literature. I'm on the list, and then I look over right next door. There you are, walking into our neighbors. And I said, Susan, what on earth are you doing here on a Sunday afternoon? And it turns out you are doing the classic door knocking.
That's right. That's right.
It sounds like you really want this job.
I do.
As mayor.
Nobody's going to outwork me. I'll say that. It's talking with actual residents of the constituents is a lot of fun. It's great. They're smart people.
So, how many days have you been out knocking on doors?
Oh, I've been doing it for a while. Since certainly since the last time we spoke.
Okay, so let's talk about this now. So, I mean, on a Sunday, when you and your wife are door knocking, and by the way, no other candidate for county mayors knocked on my door.
Interesting.
Okay, so
good to know. Good to know.
So, I'm thinking, because I did an awful lot of door knocking back in the Beat Lamar campaign in 2013, 2014. We had a bunch of kids.
Right.
We hired like a crew of 80 knocking on doors for the summer. I don't know. I think we knocked on 80,000, 90,000 doors.
Wow.
Mostly across Middle Tennessee. We couldn't do it so much in East and West. Just didn't have the resources. But so there are some rules about knocking on doors.
Mm-hmm.
One rule, I'm very curious to see, on a Sunday.
Yeah.
It's not a Sunday afternoon's not bad, but do you start knocking at noon on Sunday? When do you start?
Afternoon.
What time did you start?
I think we started at 12:30 yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. So because before 12:30 in Tennessee, most people are either at church, or they are having lunch after church, right.
Or they could be watching church online, on YouTube or whatever. But
at 12:30, the football games are on.
That's right.
People are okay. So we have a big development in Spring Hill Thompson Station.
Yes, you do.
Do you have one of these automatic lists of people?
I'm working a list.
You're working a list
that is of people who are likely frequent voters
in a Republican.
In
Republican primary.
Correct.
I'm on the list apparently.
You're on the list.
I'm 4 in the Republican primaries.
Yep.
And okay, so just walk me through this. When you this Sunday, as you're knocking in my neighborhood,
right?
So tell me, how many times when you ring the doorbell at 12:30 on a Sunday afternoon,
right?
How many times do people come out and say, "Get off my lawn"?
I've only had one person be kind of rude and offensive and say, something to the effect of, "We don't want any, go away."
Go away.
I've only had that happen once. I have seen some, if there's a sign out front and usually they're right next to the door that says "No soliciting," I don't ring their doorbell.
Well, and this is a good point. I remember when we would tell the kids, mostly it was the kids doing the door knocking, right? And we'd tell the kids, if there's a sign warning dog here, do not go.
Okay.
Right? Because you don't want an angry dog knocking on the door. Also, I had done we'd organized in the 2011 campaign in Virginia. We had a bunch of folks, volunteers for Virginia, we call them, that would, 2011, 2012, that would go knock on doors in Virginia. And I remember Some of the people, these were mostly people over the age of 30 in that case.
Right.
And I do recall some people who were a little seasoned.
Yes.
Getting real tired, like after a couple hours.
Yep.
But it seems to me like you were kind of like the Energizer Bunny in terms of knocking on doors.
We stay with it. We stay with it. It's kind of funny. I've taken pictures of the more unique no soliciting signs just so that I remember them and for my amusement. And here's a picture of one. It's pretty funny. I saw yesterday. It has in great big letters over the. It has a little sign that says no soliciting, but it says "Don't want new roof" over the because apparently there's these.
Yeah, the roofers come by.
They come by.
Don't want new roof. Don't. But let's just say when you knock on a door. Mm-hmm. Well, what percentage of the time does somebody actually open the door?
Well, that really varies neighborhood by neighborhood. It varies by age too. If you're dealing with some of the more seniors, they're very high percentage they'll come to the door.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Why would you say? Why is that? You think?
I think they're home and they're bored and they're watching TV and
they're watching the Titans lose football.
They're ready for a little relief, I guess. But
younger people less so.
Younger, well, a lot of them they're out and about. If they're 45 or 35 or 50, they're at the mall or they're doing something or they got kids at a soccer field or whatever. But so the seniors tend to be more high yield, if you want to call it that.
Okay, so like what percentage? Well, when you were in my neighborhood Sunday, what percentage of the doors you knocked on did people come out and start talking to you?
Oh, I'd be hard pressed to come up with an exact number, but
ballpark.
Ballpark. 35%.
Okay, that's about right. Yeah. Well, when we did it with the kids, we found it was 20 to 25%. But okay, so let's.
Every now and then you'll hear somebody on the other side of the door, but they don't want to come to the door.
And
I understand it.
Yeah.
And they could be kids too who've been told don't answer the door to strangers.
Of course.
Which I wouldn't want my kid to answer the door to a stranger.
What was besides, of course, your wife's conversation with me?
Right.
On Sunday, what was the most memorable conversation that you had?
Well, the people who just seem to adore you, those are the memorable ones. The people who say, you clearly have my vote, and I'm all in for this, and I love that. That's great.
You like that, right?
Every now and then you get one that doesn't want to engage, and that's fine. I understand that also.
That's all right. You're knocking on their door, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Some of them are very, very they express extreme gratitude that we're taking the time to come to the door. They like that. That's good. The consistency of what has them wound up is pretty strong.
What is it?
Traffic. You hear that everywhere. Is
that it?
That's number one. I mean, they want to see the infrastructure and.
So in our neighborhood, there is a traffic issue.
Oh yeah.
And the traffic issue is there's a new There's a new exit.
Right.
June Lake.
June Lake. That's right.
But what happens is, coming south on 65.
Yeah.
You got 4 lanes
right
until just a couple miles before the June Lake exit, where you've got the 840 intersection.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, they thought it would be a great idea to go from 4 lanes to 2 lanes.
Not a good idea.
It's a disaster.
It's not working out well.
I think everybody is unhappy about that.
I think that's right. That seems to be fixable, but you're right. Right now.
But as the mayor of Williamson County, how could you fix that?
Well, that's a fascinating question because you've got an overlap of 3 entities that relate
Feds?
to June Lake. Well, 4 if you want to include the Feds.
Yeah.
But you certainly have the state. You have TDOT.
Right.
Has to be involved in that. Those are state highways that the state has responsibility for. You've got the cities of Spring Hill, and then you have the county that wants to encourage all this too.
Boom.
And I think that so often what has to happen is there need to be good conversations that you don't accomplish anything in government or in business either by storming into somebody's office
screaming at somebody
and beating on a desktop.
Well, you might win an
15
election
minutes.
that way, but you won't get anything done afterwards.
You don't get anything done.
Back with Todd Kastner after this.
folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just 1 scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service, great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, Todd Castro, running for mayor of Williamson County, a very accomplished retired business executive, 40 years in healthcare and assisted living. And Todd, the key elements here are the Republican primary election is in May, correct?
May 5th.
May 5th.
Cinco de Mayo.
And pretty much, if you win the Republican primary election, you'll win the August general election.
That's generally,
right?
That's almost always true. Yes.
Yeah, and so just so our listeners, if you're new to Tennessee, you might go, well, no, hold on. What's the timeline here? County elections, the primaries for county elections are held in May, and the general election for county offices is held in the first Thursday in August, which coincides with the federal primary election.
And state, yes.
Yeah,
state offices and federal, right. That's right.
Yeah, so it gets a little confusing.
It is.
But that's the way we do it here.
That's what we inherited.
And it's been that way for, I don't know.
Decades,
centuries,
right.
long time. Now, I want to finish up the transportation discussion. So when you were in my neighborhood, in Spring Hill Thompson Station, knocking on doors, you started at 12:30. When did you end?
Oh, we ended at 4:15.
4:15. Okay, yeah. Well, that's a good basically 3 hours and 45 minutes of door knocking, and you got a lot of. And most of the feedback was, you said maybe 30% of the people would come out and talk, and those that had something to say would say we're most concerned about traffic.
That's right.
And traffic isn't just the problem of the congestion on 65 going south, where 4 lanes come to 2 lanes just before the June Lake exit.
Right.
It's also in Spring Hill area.
Goes up Columbia Highway, right?
Columbia Highway, which, I moved there.
Right.
We moved there. My family moved there in 1997. I mean, you could travel that highway and not see a car.
Right. Right.
At rush hour.
Very different now.
Now, oh my goodness. Because in 1990, the population of Spring Hill was like 10,000. 10,000. Right?
Yep.
Today it's like 65,000.
It's
the city of Spring Hill.
It's interesting you picked 1990. That's 35 years ago. And in the 35 years from 1990, the state population went up 47%. Williamson County went up 238%. So we're 3.3 times the size we were in 1990 countywide. And you're right, the huge growth was down in Thompson Station, Spring
And
Hill.
it's interesting because, people today, they look at Williamson County and, the history of Williamson County is so fascinating. It was kind of a nice, rural.
It's very agricultural back in the 70s. Totally agricultural.
In the 70s and 80s, it was not suburbia.
There were 34,000 people in the county in 1970, and in 2020, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's 8 times the size it was.
It's going to get more and more and more.
I hope not, but maybe.
Oh, come on! It's going to because
it's going to continue to grow. You're right.
Well, here's why it's going to grow. Number one, it's in the best state in the union.
Correct.
It's beautiful.
It is very pretty.
And it's south of Davidson County, Nashville.
Correct.
Where they have really, really, really high property taxes.
They do.
And other problems.
They do.
Right. So the other problem is the main drag in Spring Hill. It's called Columbia Pike. By the way, for the history buffs, you know what I'm going to say right now. The history buffs. Columbia Pike in 1864 was the site of the chase between the Union General Schofield and the Confederate General John Hood.
Yes.
And this was really just prior to the Battle of Franklin. But if you go from Columbia, go right up Columbia Pike, Highway 31, you can see the little historical markers along the way. And the idea was, in a bold move to try and do something for the South to win the Civil War, after the fall of Atlanta, John Bell Hood, who Robert E. Lee said was more fox than lion, right?
Interesting.
More lion than fox, rather.
Interesting.
John Bell Hood, who had quite an interesting history himself, he'd had an arm shot off, a leg shot off, and kind of was relying upon, shall we say, laudanum and other sources. He was chasing John Schofield up from Alabama, came up through Spring Hill, and was trying to cut him off before he would join General Thomas in Nashville. Right? And so he did an end run around him at Columbia, got in front of him, spent the night in Ripa Villa, near Ripa Villa, and in the middle of the night, John Schofield's army went right past the Confederates, and they chased them the whole day.
Wow.
They chased them up on the Columbia Pike.
And
that then went up to Winstead Hill in Franklin.
Yep.
And at 4 o'clock on November 30th, 1864, they did a full-out assault on the hurriedly set up protections of the Union Army. The Confederates got the field. But they basically destroyed their army.
Yeah, they did.
In Franklin. And then they went on and followed them to Nashville, where they further destroyed them. Anyways, that's the Columbia Pike. And when I got there, you could drive rush hour down Columbia Pike anywhere, no traffic.
Same width today as it was in 1864, is that right?
Exactly. And what's interesting about this, as you know, is in rush hour today, Columbia Pike, because Spring Hill's gone from 10,000 people to 65,000 people in 35 years.
Right.
It is jammed up.
It is. It is.
That's the other part of the traffic problem.
It is. And so I actually avoid the June Lake interchange. I do go up Columbia Pike as opposed to going over to June Lake.
Everybody does that.
And so it's kind of compounded the problem.
But you think you can fix that as mayor of Williamson County?
Going to involve the state. Those are state highways, state roads. The state needs to fund that, and they need to get after it and do it. But I think that it is a fair argument and an easily made argument that that Spring Hill and Williamson County, we're a huge part of the economic engine of Middle Tennessee, and we need to be respected as such.
Yeah, no kidding.
And we need the investment
Yeah.
that is the respect that we deserve. And I think the state's going to come around and recognize that.
Well, and you have a lot of experience dealing with, executives and big money moving around.
I've lobbied a lot in Florida, lobbied a lot, some in D.C., and these are longer-term conversations, but we need to get people focused on the solution and headed in the right direction.
One of your themes is transparency in government. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. There's a challenge when people today ask the question, are we saving all the money that we can save? Are we operating as efficiently as we can operate? That delves into the implicit question is, what is the information? How do you measure that? How do you decide that you're being efficient? What do we do about the fact that we have 24% vacancy in our public schools that is all coming out of the county budget? How do we deal with that? Well,
now, when you say that, what do you mean 24% vacancy in a public
school? We built schools like mad between 2013 and 2018 when I was on the commission. Well, no, because we built up. We had 100%. We were 100% occupied at the end of that construction furor, and we have 55,000 seats in our schools, and we have about 42,200 students in our 55,000 seats, which means we're about 24% vacant. Why is that? It's because the value of our homes has risen so high, so quickly, that young families can't afford to come here. So we're seeing vacancy most exacerbated in our elementary schools. But it begs the question, well, what do we do to make sure we're as efficient as we possibly can be? And to assess that, you have to have decent information on a detailed level. I'm making this up, but if you found out you had, 45 of one type of counselor, back when you were 100% occupied, and you still got 45 of those types of people, it begs the question, should you reduce the number of whatever that job title is in order to be efficient? Well, that level of transparent information isn't really out there. And in today's world, it's pretty unconscionable given how easily transmitted data is. We store it all electronically now. I mean, why shouldn't we have that level of transparency? I think you were talking earlier, you mentioned the Somalian fraud up in Minneapolis.
Right.
That's another example of why didn't people know that? It's because the information was not easily available to the people in Minneapolis to see that. That's not right. We ought to have transparent, detailed information.
So
that lets people
will you establish policies as Williamson County mayor if you were to be elected?
We have to have information. Even if you're on the school board, do you have actionable, detailed information? Well, they probably have some, but not enough. If you're on the county commission, do you have actionable, detailed information? I don't think so. I mean, if you look at the budgets, you'll see large subtotals presented. You might see a line item that says, I'm making this up, instruction, $85.2 million. Well, you really need to know how many
What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, how many teachers do I have? How many counselors do I have? How many students are they carrying? And so how do you make sure that we're not wasting money? We need to address our county's debt level. We're paying $109 million a year in debt service right now. That's our budget for this year, fiscal 26, that ends in June 26. So that 109, if we could get this debt paid off, that's another 110 million we could put towards infrastructure.
How would you reduce that debt?
Got to get in there and figure out how to operate more efficiently, how to reduce our expenses.
Reduce expenses.
That's a novel idea, isn't it?
Yeah. You think you could?
I think so.
Really?
I think so.
Do you have any targets for reduction right now?
Well, I think we ought to look at what I was just talking about. We ought to look at what are our operating costs, across the schools cover 2/3 of our budget. I love our schools. They're great. They're fantastic. I don't want to hurt our schools in any way, but they cost a lot. So is there low-hanging fruit there where we could save money? I think
so.
Probably
If you've got 13,000 empty seats,
that's right.
I wonder if they could lease those facilities to some other schools.
That thought has crossed my mind.
It has.
Also. Yes, it has.
This is why great minds think alike. All right, Todd Kastner. Thanks. Come back again if you would, please.
I'd love it. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
We're going to look again at the fraud in Minnesota. It's worse than you thought. Back after this.
everyone. EJ Haast here, founder of the Digital Footprint Management Agency and frequent guest on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, here to tell you about GetFoundEverywhere.com. Customers are searching for your business everywhere: Google, Apple Maps, TikTok, and new AI platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini, which is a total disruptor. Traditional search engine optimization isn't dead, but it is on life support. Old tactics don't work anymore. So how can you make your business stand out? GetFoundEverywhere.com makes your business pop on over 50 search, map, review, and AI-driven platforms. With one easy dashboard, manage business profiles, social media accounts, direct messages, even texts and reviews. GetFoundEverywhere.com is affordable, boosts your visibility, and gets your business more customers. It's time to step up your game the easy way. Save time, save money, and get more customers with GetFoundEverywhere.com.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it, believe me.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Our number is 615-814-2848, 615-814-2848. If you want to weigh in, there are three things we need from you. Number one, your name. Number two, your state of residence. And number three, your topic. Actually, make it on the topic we're talking about right now, which is the failed state of Minnesota, which is a corrupt state that the Democrats have been able to take control of by bringing in 250,000 illegal aliens, refugees, etc., from Somalia, and basically funneling public monies to them, which allegedly have come back to the Democrat Party. I mean, you can look at the sort of the Democrat Party control of Minnesota. It coincides with the rise of Muslim Somali fraud. No shock there. Now, this is curious. Remember Ilhan Omar? She represents that district in Minneapolis with a whole bunch of Somalis. And she followed Keith Ellison, now the Attorney General of the state. He's Muslim too, I think. Yeah, the Attorney General of the Democrat of Minnesota. When she took office, her net worth was pretty close to zero. Now, it's apparently like $30 million. Huh? How did that happen? Fox News was inquiring about that, and Chip Roy, the congressman from Texas, has a few words to say about it. Let's play that clip right now.
Certainly not. I mean, he's certainly supportive of whatever they're doing. And this is one of the other things that we need to address is the extent to which members of Congress find themselves getting wealthy while they're in Congress. In this case, it appears by being completely in bed with all of the fraudulent activity that's going on in Minnesota. Of course, we should investigate this. Of course, should we look into what they're scrubbing from their website. I think we've got to explore this as far as we can, including potentially looking into denaturalizing and removing Ilhan Omar if she's violated our laws. And by the way, we should also ban stock trading among members of Congress, since we're talking about the wealth of Congress, and I have a bill to do that, and I hope we will do that next year. Mike Johnson, the Speaker, is working with us to do that. We have got to stop all of this flow of dollars that is corrupting our system, empower the American people to do what they do best, and we've got to pause immigration. I introduced a bill to pause immigration.
Yeah, all of those things are true. And, you know, this kid, Nick Shirley, who did a 42-minute video. It had over 110 million views when last we looked at it. And it's just stunning. This is like forensic accounting 101. We're going to play some of this right now and see what he uncovered. Let's go right now.
Actually answered the door.
Hello? Can we speak? I would like to check a child in the daycare. Can I speak to a manager? Where can I get paperwork to file for my son? I wanted to put my son Joey in daycare.
And after a few questions, the lady went silent.
Looks like little Joey Shirley ain't going to daycare here. And now where are we going?
Now we're going to Sweet Angel Child Care.
We're in the middle of a strip mall here inside of this neighborhood.
In fiscal year 2025, this facility, which has its license for 74 kids, was paid $1.26 million in tax money. And there are no kids, and all the facilities are the same way, all of them.
Let's see if anyone opens.
Yeah, let's see.
Once again, I tried to find a spot for my son Joey, and they would not open the door.
I want to put my son Joey in daycare. Cuz I need a spot to put my son Joey.
Yes.
Is this your daycare center?
No, I work there. What's happened?
I just want to put a child in daycare, but all the daycare centers seem to be closed. No one's opening the doors.
You work here?
I was, yeah. What's happened?
Where are the kids?
Yeah?
It says it's licensed for 74 children. Right here, state of Minnesota. Where are the kids? They got paid $1.26 million in fiscal year 2025. It says they have a capacity for 74 children.
When? When?
Where are the kids? Right here. State of Minnesota website. You work here and you don't know?
I don't know. I was there before. I don't know what's going on.
Were there any kids when you worked here?
He's there. Kids there. What's
How
happened?
many?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
You worked here. Okay, well then you're not of any help.
Can I put my son in a daycare here?
No, I don't know.
Can I speak to someone?
No, I don't know.
No? Yeah, I would like to see if I can put my son Joey here.
Who's your son, Joey?
My son Joey. Can I check out daycare center?
No! You're a liar. I'm the owner.
Do you put your kid here in this daycare?
No.
There is one child in there. Yeah, I'd like to know if this is a legit business.
Me, I'm scared of you too. How come I explain everything?
You're scared of me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of your curry.
Because of my color. You said you're scared of me because of my color. Does that make you a racist?
Yeah, no.
But
no.
You said you're scared of me because of my color.
I'm not saying you're racist.
You said you're scared of me because of my color. That makes you a racist. So right now,
okay, let's pause this for just a moment. A little thing about this journalism that Nick Shirley's doing. 23-year-old, LDS member. That's a Mormon, Church of Latter-day Saints. And spent 2 years on a mission in Chile. And I think he's a student of BYU or University of Utah, someplace like that, based in Utah. Now, when he says my son Joey, that's a bit of a ruse. As an investigative journalist, I suppose you can do that, right? I did a little check. He's not married, doesn't have a kid. But I mean, he's just saying, if I had a child, if somebody wanted to enroll a child here, could they? No, look, this is all evidence of a scam conducted by all of these various sort of child care, home health care businesses that are just, offices with no one there. Now, if you undertake financial accounting and you do audits, the very first thing you do is you go and you look at the place physically. Are they, if they say they're childcare for 40 kids, where are those 40 kids? That's the first thing you would check out, right? But apparently nobody from the state of Minnesota, which is dispersing these funds, mostly federal funds gone from the U.S. taxpayer to the state of Minnesota, then they divvy it out to these various, look like phony companies, right? Just mail drops or offices that aren't performing what they say they do. It's very simple. It is the duty of the comptroller of a state to look into this, and yet they're not looking into it at all. Here's a little bit more of this now. 110 million views, 42-minute video put out by Nick Shirley. Let's continue with that.
Of this business, being registered as a business, 74 children, no children. We saw one child when the lady opened up the door, but now they're all getting mad.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Ask the owner and the kids.
Well, then why are you talking for the owner if you're telling me to talk to the owner?
I'm sorry. I'm not understand what you're talking about.
Do you have a child here?
No.
Does anybody?
No.
Where are the 74 kids? Did you lose them? Did you lose these kids? Do I need to call someone? Do I need to issue an Amber Alert for missing children? Are these children missing? It's not my business that children are missing. 74 infants and toddlers, preschool.
The proof's right there. There's no children anywhere.
It's from the state of Minnesota right here.
I think we're moving on to the next location.
Let's pause it for a moment here, as before. We'll get to this in a bit. Also, apparently now, this is interesting. How has the regime media responded to this? I keep saying regime media because you got ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MS Now, formerly MSNBC. They're all ignoring this, or they're playing Tim Walz saying, nothing to see here, move along. But as it turns out, apparently the FBI's on it. And we've got a new clip here that we'll show in a bit, just before the end of the segment, clip 22, which has now the Department of Homeland Security is going after these guys. But let's go back before we get that up, and let's continue with our buddy Nick Shirley. See what he was, his next stop in this.
Continue to show the blatant fraud that was taking place here in Minnesota. Somalis started following us around the city.
And now we're being followed by the Somalis. This is another daycare center, absolutely no signage, and there's no footprints in the snow of children playing outside. $5 million within the past
5.9 million in 2 years. 5.9 million they received in 2 years. That facility right there.
And now we have a group of Somalis telling us in our vehicle right now.
From this daycare center, we headed over to the infamous Quality Learning Center, which actually spells Quality Leering Center on the outside of their sign. That's how blatant this fraud is here at this daycare.
Don't open up!
So this is Quality Leering Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center.
Don't open up!
They said they spelt learning wrong.
Don't open up!
How do you have ice here, ma'am? I'm literally a YouTuber.
Don't open up!
Ma'am, what do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Don't open up! We have ice!
And what do you think about this place being licensed for 99 children?
Don't open up!
And getting $4 million
Don't
over the
open up! It's ice!
$4 million in the last 2 years?
Go away!
What do you think about that?
Okay, so the interesting part about this is, did you hear what the person inside was saying? Don't open up, it's ice. It sounds like they weren't Somali. They were like they could speak English. It's ice? It wasn't ice. He was just a journalist. This is like super easy to do, by the way. CBS didn't do this. ABC didn't do this. NBC didn't do this. CNN didn't do it. Huh. I wonder why. All right. I think we've got clip 22 right now. Let's play this one. There's DHS.
Are there any subcontractors or anything you guys deal with? Like, say like other businesses that you partner with that you use for a service of any kind, maybe transportation or anything like that?
No, we provide, usually parents, they come like this, drop the kids, they go to us, and then we take them.
Awesome. And who actually oversees the receipt of those documents?
Usually like.
Okay, so they're knocking on doors right now. Now, apparently the FBI has been at this for a bit. You know, we saw this thing break with the U.S. attorney from Minnesota saying they were looking into it. I think the number he said was $9 billion. It's going up like $18 billion. It's big. It's huge. Look, this is the industry of Minnesota. I think if you go back and you look at it, that you say that clearly, this is a political operation. And I think they're going to be looking at Tim Walz. They're going to look at Tim Walz because, why? Take a look at lack of oversight of these federal funds. How could you be governor of the state of Minnesota and not know that these were all fraudulent businesses? How could you not know that? Couldn't you call up your comptroller and say, because they've had, because I did a lot of work at Breitbart on this, and they've had a comptroller's office there, did a lot of investigations. But why didn't you call them up and say, hey, look into these claims of fraud? Now he's trying to say, oh, now we're starting to look into it. No, he has no interest in that. Why? My theory is because a lot of this money has flown back into the coffers of the Democrat Party. All right, when we come back, so the bottom line on that is Minnesota is literally a failed state of Democrat Party-run corruption with Somali fraud all over the place. All right, when we come back, News Potpourri. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Tom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul Tea
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Well, folks, it's that time of day again. It's time for News Potpourri. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, News Potpourri. This is the portion of the program where we talk about those stories that are of note, don't necessarily merit a full segment, and may have a touch of irony. Well, here's a bit of irony. A CBS report from 2018 talked about this fraud in Minnesota. Let's play this clip right now.
Agencies closed Baraka Child Care Center yesterday morning while investigators executed a search warrant. It's one of 10 being investigated for financial misconduct of the state's child care assistance program. WCCO's Jennifer Mayerly shares where that money would have gone instead.
Nearly 2,400 kids are on the waiting list for Minnesota's Child Care Assistance Program. It helps low-income families pay for child care. Daycares are given money per child. But right now, state agencies are investigating financial fraud at 10 different centers, including Baraka Child Care Center in Minneapolis.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. That's 2018, right? That was not national CBS. That was local CBS News. This was known in 2018. Who was the governor of Minnesota in 2018? Tim Walz. Who did nothing about that? That would be Tim Walz. Speaking of the Walz family, his crazy nutcase wife was at it again. Here we go with Mrs. Walz.
Are you ready? Let's hear it loud and clear like we said. Mr. Trump, Mr. Vance, please mind your own business. Oh, that was excellent.
Okay, so why does she want Mr. Trump, the president and the vice president, not to look into the abuse of and the fraud and waste of federal taxpayer dollars given to the state of Minnesota to administer and disperse? Why? Because it's going to implicate her idiot husband. That's why, folks. That's why. Okay. Here's another weird story. You know, the United Nations is largely funded by America, the United States of America. And yet, now some knucklehead there is saying we need to isolate the U.S. because we don't like what they're doing. Let's play that clip right now.
We'll stay calm, we'll not panic, and we'll remember that the international community is made of 193 states. And this is the time to give the U.S. what it has been looking for, isolation.
Okay, I got some isolation for you, United Nations. I think we're kind of close to this point. A lot of people have said, you know, it's time for the United States to pull out of the United Nations. We're getting close to it, right? Trump's done a really good job of communicating with everybody, but the United Nations is working against the sovereignty of the United States and trying to tear down the Western civilization. Time for a new organization. I'm sorry. You know, the League of Nations never happened. The League of Nations failed. The United Nations was started out in 1945. It has outlived its usefulness. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, here's another weird story. It's in the New York Times, and it's about this guy, Thomas Goldstein. He was a super, super successful attorney before the Supreme Court. Fascinating story about this guy. And, I mean, he went to, his wife is Amy Howe, who was I think she was a Supreme Court clerk, law clerk, practiced law for a while, journalist. She writes SCOTUS blog, which was just recently picked up or acquired, I think, a little bit ago by either the Dispatch or Bulwark. And it's really good, a little bit left of center, but you can see what's going on in the Supreme Court with that. It got its launch 2012 with the NFIB v. Sebelius, the ruling of the Supreme Court, very complicated, that basically said, yeah, the individual mandate's out, but the rest of it's in a contorted decision by John Roberts. But nonetheless, it has a lot of people that track it because, it's really good reporting by Amy Howe. So her husband is Thomas Goldstein, and they started the SCOTUS blog together. It's been sold since. This guy, the weird story about this guy, he apparently lived a double life. He went to American University Law School, and he decided that what he wanted to do was to argue before the Supreme Court. He went out, in his essence, looked at the cases that were likely to go to the Supreme Court, picked up the plaintiffs or the people that got cert for the appeal, and then they took them on as clients and did very well. I think he's argued like 30 times before the Supreme Court, and I think he wins a lot of big cases. He's kind of an out there kind of maximalist, if you will, in terms of his arguments. But his personal life is crazy, beyond crazy. He had a double life. He was a high-rolling gambler, big time. And apparently, although he was married to Amy Howe, he had like multiple mistresses of the kind that you are able to obtain for money. That kind of mistress, right? And there were stories that he would go and play these high-stake poker games with billionaires and other types. And he would arrive at these poker games with like 4 women, all of whom had a intimate personal relationship with him. And that was sort of his style. In fact, he apparently rented a house for these women to live in. But he had, I don't know, like dozens of mistresses, and they were all of a certain type, younger OnlyFans type chicks. Anyways, so there's you should read this, but I'll get to the punchline here in a bit. There's an article in the New York Times. Go to Citizen Free Press and you can see the link. Headline, he was a Supreme Court lawyer. Then his double life caught up with him. Thomas Goldstein was a superstar in the legal world. He was also a secret high-stakes gambler whose wild 10-year run may now land him in prison. The Department of Justice is basically suing him for, I think, income tax evasion or some kind of income tax charges. And he's out on bail, but they're going after all his money. Apparently, he's such a high-stakes gambler, he ended up basically, I think he said, net, he's lost like $10 million. Okay, you want to know who wrote this article? Jeffrey Toobin. Jeffrey Toobin. Do you remember Jeffrey? He was caught on a Zoom call, engaged in intimate personal activity of the kind, well, that you don't want to be seen. Anyways, he wrote the article. Isn't that crazy? Okay. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow. I hope you have a great day. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. The website, TennesseeStar.com. TennesseeStar.com. Thanks for joining us.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com. Listen to Michael Patrick Leahy and make America great again.
FlatFeeNashville.com is a full-service real estate brokerage that charges homeowners a upfront flat fee of $999 to completely list market and sell your home. We are all about saving consumers money, saving that equity. Nobody should hire an agent and feel like when that agent walks in the door, that agent is more concerned about the down payment on their next Mercedes purchase versus saving the equity that those homeowners have worked hard for. I've spent my entire career in ensuring that the equity that people save and they put into their monthly mortgage every single month, as much of that as we possibly can goes back to them when they go to list and sell that home. The idea is to give homeowners the ability to really create generational wealth.
Flatfeenashville.com, flatfeenashville.com.